Talking Shirts is presented in partnership with White Oak Cottage. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Hello and welcome. This is episode number 156 of Talking Shirts. I'm Mike of Hull KR Shirts, and today we're going to take a look at this 2014 home shirt. Now, the 2014 home shirt is one that I think it divides opinion across the fan base, really. I really liked it. I've made it no secret that I really like watching Hull KR playing in predominantly red, whether that be sort of at home or away, like we've seen with the Red Robin alternate kit in 2026. I really do like seeing us in all red. And on this occasion, the shirt is predominantly red. We do have some white design elements on the collar, on the sleeves, and on the side panels. There's a little bit on the back as well. And I think that breaks up the red really, really nicely. Within the design element of this shirt is a dog tooth pattern, and that's something that's probably quite well known across the pattern industry. It wasn't something that I was familiar with until somebody pointed out to me and I did a little bit of research. But yeah, this is a sort of a well-known sort of design pattern. I will pop some close-up images so you can see that. It's been dye sublimated into the shirt in sort of a darker shade of red, so it does break up the red. When you're looking at it from a distance, you don't necessarily see it, but getting nice and up close and personal with it, you can definitely make it out. So everything on the front of this kit, everything but one thing, is dye sublimated in white. The one thing that isn't is this whole angling centre. Oh my word, that is awful. I really, really don't like that. We've spoken quite a lot about these 2014 shirts. It was the same on the home, the away, and the third. This really big green logo. All I can guess is they must have been desperate for money to put that on there. There was obviously no give from Hull Angling Centre with regards to the colour of their logo appearing on a shirt. Obviously, now we are so fortunate, we look back at sort of modern day kits and how the sponsor integration is so well organised within the shirt that it doesn't take away from the aesthetics, and unfortunately on this one that does. But let's talk about the things that actually are dye sublimated in white, which really do blend well into the shirt. So we've got the Feta maker marker. They made kits for Hull KR in 2014, 15 and 16. We've got D-Signs, again, another long-standing partner of the club. And then we've got Clear Sky, which I believe was a Rob Crossland brand. That was dye sublimated as the front of shirt sponsor. Just above that, we have got the wonderful heat-applied sort of wing elements to the gel grip patch on the front. Probably the best application of gel grip patches on the front of shirts for me. Definitely wins the race for that one. The collar is just a basic crew neck collar, but what you'll find is that there is kind of like a bit of a V-neck sort of layer to it, which is really, really nice. As you can see, that's been applied in white, and it does have a red trim going around it as well. You will also make out quite a lot of sort of stitching that's been pulled here. This shirt has been well worn by Josh Hodgson. There is quite a lot of markings on here, things that I need to kind of do a little bit more research into, the way that things have sort of faded and peeled, and you might not be able to make it out, so I will pop some pictures up for you. But within the crest here, it started to yellow a little bit. Now, I've got a feeling that at some point the shirt's had blood on it, and that is sort of the way that the blood has dried into the white, and then when it's been washed a few times to try and get it out, it's kind of faded into a yellow, but it has discolored the white on here. So that's something where when I get the opportunity to look for some photos of this shirt, that's definitely something I'm going to look out for, because that could be a really, really good defining factor to show that this shirt was worn in a certain game. Staying on the front of the shirt down here, we've got the jock tag, something that Oxen have used quite a lot during their tenure producing kits for Hull KR. This one here, as I've said, was made by Feta. It's got the Hull Kingston Rovers Club crest in it, and then I believe it says Authentic Apparel underneath that as well. So just a really, really nice finishing touch. As we take a look at these sleeves here, the dog tooth pattern kind of continues onto this raglan sleeve, but then it completely breaks. Now, there's not really any real reason why it would necessarily need to do that. There's no legislation within sort of kit guidelines to say that that design can't continue all the way down. Very much like the 1992 to 1994 away shirt that we've spoken about in a recent episode of Talking Shirts, where we said that it almost looked like it was unfinished. And I kind of guess that this does a little bit as well, but it doesn't really bother me so much being on the sleeve as it would if it was on the sort of the front or the back of a shirt. But I guess it does kind of blend in with the side panels really, really well. This space was kept free for a sponsor for the Super League. As you can tell, that never happened. But above that, we have got the Archbishop Centre Moor Academy that has been dye sublimated into the dogtooth pattern up there. On the other sleeve here, so the right one as wearing, this is where we find our competition patch. We also have another Archbishop Centre Moor Academy dye sublimation branding. And then in this sort of breakout slot here, we have got the Super League competition patch. During 2014, the Super League was sponsored by First Utility. And these patches are probably one of my favourite in terms of their design. I think they look really, really cool. The one thing that I don't like, though, is how sort of sensitive they are to wear and to peeling. Because the contact points are really small, all the corner pieces are really starting to sort of wear and to peel. Again, this is something that is quite common across all of these 2014 shirts, whether it be home or away or third. Just one of those things. So that's been the front and the sides. We're going to have a quick word from our partner now, and then we will talk about the reverse.
White Oak Cottage is a 2-bedroom luxury holiday cottage set in the stunning Lincolnshire Wolds. It has 2 ensuite bedrooms, a hot tub, wood burner, Wi-Fi, electric vehicle charger, and is pet friendly. It is ideally situated in the Wolds, yet only 15 miles from the coast and 25 miles from the historic city of Lincoln. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Welcome back to episode number 156 of Talking Shirts. Before the break, we was talking our way around this 2014 home shirt, and now we are back with the reverse. So looking at the back panel of this 2014 home shirt, you'll see that the dogtooth pattern, it does continue throughout the majority of this back panel. We have this sort of free space that we talk about on the back of shirts for squad numbers and player names, but the design elements of this shirt didn't encroach that legislation, meaning that the design pattern was able to continue because it does not form any form of obstruction for the name and the number being applied on the back of this shirt. We have got sponsors on the back here. East Yorkshire Shutters, that doesn't appear in a sort of white colourway to benefit the shirt. However, because blue is one of the club's colours, I don't think that looks too out of place. Those guys have sponsored Hull KR through many different forms for many different years. Currently, the sponsor for Mikey Lewis is a player sponsor, so they still have ties to Hull KR in 2026, and obviously this was 12 years ago. So yeah, it's nice to see that those guys are still supporting the club in many different ways. Below that, we've got Higher Base. That was a front of shirt sponsor at one point, and it's also a lower back shirt sponsor. We have seen them in that position in sort of more recent times as well. So yeah, Higher Base, another company who have supported the club for many years, as has Hull College. Their logo features in its natural colourway. Again, it does have this element of green to it, which does detract slightly, but I think the fact that we've got some red and some blue and quite a lot of white, they kind of get away with it. I don't think it's as bad as the Hull Angling Centre one on the front. We mark that as okay, not good or bad. I think it's fine. It is what it is. As I mentioned in part one, there is a white sort of back panel here. It's a separate piece of fabric where it just kind of it flows quite nicely actually from the side panels into that rear slot. So again, it does look a little bit unfinished, but I think I quite like it. Very different to that 92, 94 one I was talking about earlier. But yeah, for this one, for me, I really do like it. So, Josh Hodgson. We'll talk a little bit about how his name and number has been applied to the shirt before we talk about the player. But the first thing you notice is the fact that it says J Hodgson. That's because we had David Hodgson. I do have a David Hodgson shirt from 2014. I'll pop a picture up so you'll see that says D Hodgson. And it was obviously just a case of differentiating from the two. Now, when you've got squad numbers, I don't necessarily see why that has to happen. When you think you've got two completely different numbers on the back of a shirt. But again, I suppose it is just a slightly different defining factor from a referee's perspective. Better safe than sorry, I guess. But you also notice the amount of peeling that is going on to the letter set. Now, the middle of the H is missing. Part of the G is peeled and is curled up. The S, that's just, half of that's just completely gone. There is a bit of overlap in here. The O and the N, they look well. So yeah, there's quite a lot of damage to this one. Again, further points that would define quite well if I had the opportunity to look through some imagery. I need to get better at that. I need to start looking at it before I do episodes of Talking Shirts, and hopefully I could bring you some more information. But I guess I'm just future protecting the brand by being able to reproduce a video or a photo post at some point in the future to be able to confirm this information. So that depends how you look at it, whether you look at it from an effective point of view or whether you're looking at it from a marketing perspective. But yeah, the number 9 that's on the back of here, there is no damage to that whatsoever. Got the Super League, Super Rugby League logo that features in the number there. Again, quite a common feature, something that we still see to this day, having the Super League logo in the squad numbers. Yeah, no complaints about that. One of the better letter sets, I would have said. We've compared quite a few of those recently. But yeah, this one does quite well for me. Josh Hodgson, local lad, came through the system at Hull FC. Made a few appearances for those guys in 2009 before jumping across to Hull KR for 2010. He was with the club for 5 seasons. 2014 was his final season with the club. Made 134 appearances for Hull KR across those 5 years. When he came in initially, he was a backup hooker to Ben Fisher, and then when he left, he was arguably the best player at the club in 2014. He did then take the opportunity to go across to the NRL, where he represented the Canberra Raiders for 7-8 years, I think it was. In 2016, he came very, very close to sealing a Dally M, and he also played in an NRL Grand Final as well, but did come up slightly short. I've always had a little bit of I don't know how you describe it. Maybe seller's remorse is possibly the way to look at it. I did actually have a Josh Hodgson shirt all the way back in 2019, but I'd just been made redundant from a job, and I had a couple of shirts from the same year. I had a Ben Fisher, I had a Blake Green, and a Josh Hodgson. And I decided that I was going to sell the Josh Hodgson just to sort of help tide things over for a little bit. And ever since that day that I sold it, I've always had this seller's remorse about selling that shirt and thinking, why did I do that? And anybody that reads my year in review articles that I produce at the end of every sort of calendar year, for the last couple of years now, I've been saying I'm really sort of desperate to find a Josh Hodgson shirt. And unbelievably, somehow, I hadn't found one from 2019 to 2026. And we're now 4 months into the year, and I found 3 Josh Hodgson shirts. It just makes no sense. So now I have 3. Which is just, as I say, absolutely mind-blowing how you can go from 0 to 3 like that. Absolutely madness. So yeah, I'm really pleased to be able to add one of Josh's shirts into my collection. Obviously, once he finished at Canberra Raiders, he did go to the Parramatta Eels for a year, but due to I think it was a back or a neck injury, he did have to retire probably a little bit earlier than he would have done. But I believe that he's now doing some sort of coaching in the development systems over in Australia. So yeah, it's nice to see that he's kind of forged a new life over there. Obviously, you know, he's come through as a Hull lad. Recently saw a video of him on social media where he was wishing Chris Wellham all the best for his testimonial year. So, you know, it's nice that he still has those ties to Hull and East Hull specifically, obviously with his connections to Hull KR and, you know, the career that he sort of, he paved his way over here for what would come next in Australia. So, yeah, really pleased to be able to add one of Josh's shirts into my collection, or 3 if I'm counting. But yeah, things are going really well with the collection at the moment. So thank you very much for watching episode number 156. I hope you've enjoyed watching this episode. I'll be back in a fortnight where I'll be back with a brand new episode. So please feel free to check out all my socials. Have a look at hullkrshirts.co.uk as well. There's a wealth of content over there to kind of act nostalgic a little bit about some of the kits that we've worn over the past years, as well as celebrating some of the more recent successes too. Thank you very much for watching. See you all in a fortnight. Bye for now.